You know how sometimes you send a message, get left on read, and then spiral into a personal identity crisis? Well, your brain does that to you. Constantly. You'll be crying internally, but somehow still telling everyone around you, I'm fine. You're not fine. You're ghosting your own emotional needs like a shady ex with commitment issues. This is called emotional suppression, and it's basically your brain pulling a disappearing act on feelings it doesn't have time for. Instead of dealing with the whole, I feel hollow and a little like a soggy sock vibe, your brain hits snooze and files it under, maybe later, probably never. The real kicker? Suppressing emotions doesn't make them go away. It's like trying to ignore a raccoon in your attic. Sure, you can pretend it's not there, but one day, it's gonna start chewing wires. Or, in your case, you'll start crying in a supermarket because the avocado felt too green. Studies show that avoiding emotional processing increases stress hormones, tanks your immune system, and literally shrinks parts of your brain. So yeah, telling yourself I'm fine on repeat is the psychological equivalent of chain-smoking sadness. Basically, you're not avoiding emotions. You're just booking them a later flight to come back and crash into your mental infrastructure like a baggage cart on fire. Nothing like the smell of burnt-out ambition in the morning. You've had 3 hours of sleep, 4 shots of espresso, and you're halfway through a to-do list that includes finally rest, penciled in for 2042. You don't rest because you've convinced yourself that slowing down is failure, and failure is death. Congratulations, you've got toxic productivity, also known as grinding your soul into dust while smiling. Psychologically, this is your brain hacking dopamine. Productivity gives you a short burst of reward, like a tiny casino machine going ding 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 every time you check something off a list. So you keep chasing it. But unlike real drugs, which are arguably more fun, this dopamine hit comes wrapped in self-loathing, chronic fatigue, and the existential horror of realizing your identity is 73% task completion and 27% coffee. And here's the plot twist. If you actually stop, your nervous system gets confused. Like, wait, where's the stress? Where's the panic? Why are we sitting? And then, bam, anxiety spiral. Because rest feels unfamiliar. You don't just not know how to relax, you're allergic to it. Sorry, you blurt, after someone else bumps into you. You could be literally bleeding out and still apologize for being in the way. That's not politeness. That's the apology reflex, also known as chronic guilt cosplay. It's especially common if you grew up in environments where being easygoing meant being emotionally invisible. Somewhere along the line, your brain went, let's avoid conflict by being everyone's emotional floor mat. Genius. Now, your default setting is to take responsibility for things you didn't even do, just in case someone might get upset. It's like prepaying for emotional damage that hasn't even happened yet. Psychologically, this stems from hypervigilance, your brain's habit of scanning for potential danger and trying to diffuse it with politeness grenades. But here's the problem. Constant apologizing doesn't make people respect you. It makes them think you believe you're always wrong. And eventually, you do start believing it. Because if you say sorry 90 times a day, your brain assumes you must be the problem. So maybe next time someone knocks your phone off a table, say ouch instead of sorry. Small step, giant leap for your boundary-setting nervous system. You're in a group, someone suggests pizza, and you hate pizza. But do you say that? No. You nod like a bobblehead on a sugar high. Then you eat the pizza. Then you go home and spiral into a dramatic reflection on why you have no real sense of self. This is people-pleasing, aka personality shape-shifting, for the sake of keeping the vibe chill. Your identity? It's more like a mood ring than a fixed trait. And every time you say, I'm good with whatever, instead of admitting what you actually want, your brain slowly loses the ability to tell the difference between your opinions and the ambient noise of everyone else's. Neurologically, This comes from the survival instinct of social acceptance. Your prehistoric ancestors didn't want to be left out of the group, because in the wild, alone meant eaten by wolves. So now, your brain equates rejection with mortal danger, even if the rejection is just someone thinking you're difficult. So you suppress your wants, act like everyone else, and slowly morph into a personality-shaped sponge, soaking up external validation. And what do you get in return? Bland pizza and an existential crisis about whether your favorite color is even your favorite color. Suddenly, it's 2 a.m., and you're deep cleaning the grout between bathroom tiles with a toothbrush. Are you nesting? No. Are you okay? Also, no. You're having a mental breakdown, but it's wearing rubber gloves. This is coping via distraction, aka productivity cosplay for your anxiety. You're not actually fixing the thing that's wrong. You're just building a very clean panic room around it. Why? Because your brain would rather reorganize your sock drawer by color, material, and emotional trauma than feel your feelings. Here's the science. When you're overwhelmed, your brain reaches for control. Emotional chaos, your seems bad. But scrubbing a counter until it gleams, that's measurable, manageable, and bonus points. Smells like lemon. So you do the thing you can control because everything else feels like it's eating you alive. But beware, this turns into a pattern. You start treating existential dread like it's a to-do list item. Feeling abandoned by the universe? Let's alphabetize the spice rack. Spoiler alert, the cumin isn't going to save you. Sure, you get a dopamine hit, but the underlying anxiety is just doing push-ups in the corner, waiting for its turn. And when it comes back, it's jacked. So if you're suddenly scrubbing baseboards and crying to lo-fi beats, just know your mental health is waving a red flag. With lemon-scented gloves, someone asks how you're doing, and you say, "Haha, I want to walk into the sea." And somehow it lands. Everyone laughs. You laugh, but also you meant it, like 18%, maybe 40%. This is humor as deflection, also known as existential stand-up comedy. It's not that you're trying to be dishonest, it's just that if you can turn your pain into a punchline, it feels less like it's eating you alive. Because if people are laughing, they're not asking follow-up questions. And you definitely don't want follow-up questions. Psychologically, this is called self-enhancing humor, and it's a legit coping mechanism. But there's a fine line between laughing to process and laughing to bury the body. The emotional body, that you're dragging behind your jokes like a sitcom ghost. Here's the trap. When you joke about your own spirals too often, your brain starts to treat them like bits, not actual red flags. You become the court jester of your own mental health. And sure, the memes are fire, but your inner child is curled in a corner whispering, "So are we ever going to deal with any of this?" Or, if your sense of humor has started sounding like a therapy cry disguised as a tweet, maybe take a pause. You don't have to turn every feeling into content. Sometimes the void is not for roasting. Sometimes it just needs a nap. You walk into a room, and instantly your brain is like, okay, who's mad? Who's quiet? Who hates me? Who might hate me based on eyebrow angle alone? Welcome to hypervigilance, the party trick of your over-caffeinated nervous system. It's like emotional radar, except it's broken and thinks everything is a threat. This is common if you grew up in chaotic or emotionally unpredictable environments. Your brain learned that safety, your cache predicting everyone else's moods before they explode. So now, even in calm situations, you're running a full mental security system with zero actual intruders. You read into tone, silence, side eyes, typing speed. Someone replies with a period instead of an emoji. Your whole body enters DEFCON 1. This constant vibe checking isn't intuition. It's trauma wearing a name tag that says empath. And the worst part? It's exhausting. you don't get to relax anywhere because your mind is scanning like a security guard on Red Bull. Also, you can preemptively adjust yourself to keep the peace. You're not reading the room. You're editing your soul based on fluorescent lighting and a coworker's sigh. Reminder, if someone's mood changes, it doesn't mean it's about you, unless you are the reason, in which case, you're still allowed to be calm. You're hungry. You open a food app. You scroll for 30 minutes, grow increasingly panicked, then close the app. You eat cereal. Again, this is decision fatigue, and it's your brain's way of saying, too many options, not enough will to live. When you're chronically stressed, your prefrontal cortex, aka the decision-making headquarters, gets sluggish. It's like your mental executive just walked out mid-shift. And now, everything feels like a referendum on your entire personality. Pick a movie? Suddenly it's, what does this say about who I am? What if I waste time? What if I regret it? Your brain is spiraling over chicken or tacos like it's filing for emotional bankruptcy. And ironically, the more choices you have, the worse it gets. Thanks. Capitalism. So instead of making decisions, you freeze. You delay. You passively spiral into May mode while your stomach files HR complaints. Here's a fun hack. Limit your options on purpose. Trick your brain by only choosing between two things. Or have someone else decide. Or eat the damn cereal again, but on purpose this time, like a cereal boss. You could be actively melting down. But when someone asks how you are, you say, "Oh, I'm fine," with the energy of a Target cashier on their 4th double shift. You've got the smile, the tone, the nod, all of it. Performed with Oscar-worthy commitment. Welcome to the Emotional Performance Olympics, where gold medals are awarded for pretending everything is okay while your soul is on fire and trying to file for emancipation. This isn't just lying. It's survival theater. Your brain has decided that vulnerability is too risky. So instead, it hands you a script called Emotionally Stable Human, Act 1, and tells you to stick to it no matter what. Psychologically, this is linked to emotional masking, where people put on a calm or happy front to avoid judgment, rejection, or, God forbid, pity. Because pity feels like being handed a soggy paper towel when you're actually drowning. And let's not forget the social factor. You're trained to say, "I'm fine," because it makes conversations easier. Saying, "Actually, I'm a bag of wet spaghetti held together by unresolved trauma," tends to kill the vibe at lunch. But here's the danger. The longer you wear the mask, the more you forget it's even a mask. You start gaslighting yourself. You convince yourself you are fine until your body starts launching mysterious headaches, insomnia, and random crying jags during toothpaste commercials. "I'm fine" is the world's most overused emotional decoy. And the scariest part? Most people believe you when you say it. Even you. You drop a spoon. Your brain. "Wow. You would." Classic you. You make a typo. Brain. "You absolute disaster. Everyone saw that." You breathe funny in a Zoom call. Brain. "Well, pack it up. You've embarrassed the bloodline." Welcome to negative self-talk, also known as your brain being a petty little goblin with a megaphone. Your internal voice? It learned its tone from years of external messages, parents, teachers, media. That one sarcastic kid in 5th grade who called you Captain Clumsy. Over time, those voices calcified into your inner narrator, who now thinks its job is to roast you into compliance. But bad news, roasting yourself doesn't actually improve you. Studies show that constant self-criticism just increases anxiety and lowers motivation. It's like trying to grow a flower by yelling at it for being ugly. And worse, you start believing it. If you hear something enough, especially from your own thoughts, your brain stops questioning it. "I suck" becomes not a passing idea, but a personality trait. Here's a radical thought. What if you talk to yourself like a mildly supportive friend instead of a 24/7 stand-up heckler? Like, just once try saying, "Hey, we're doing our best," instead of, "Wow, you're the CEO of failure." Because, spoiler, your inner monologue is not your truth. It's just a playlist, and you're allowed to hit skip. You're so emotionally constipated. Your brain starts scheduling mental breakdowns. You hold it in all week like a toxic emotional smoothie. And then, boom, Saturday at 8:15 p.m. You're sobbing over a video of a dog meeting a baby duck. This is delayed emotional release. And it's like your brain filing away stress until it bursts out in a very inconvenient, possibly public explosion. Think of it like shaking a soda bottle every day, pretending you're fine, then popping the cap while folding laundry. Now you're crying because a sock was inside out, and also, apparently, you're a failure, and love is a lie. Biologically, your nervous system needs to discharge stress. When you don't give it small outlets, like venting, crying, journaling, or rage screaming into a pillow, it hoards all that tension like a squirrel storing emotional acorns. Eventually, the acorns explode, squirrel screams included. And sure, maybe part of you thinks, I don't have time to feel feelings. Cool. Tell that to your body while it's short-circuiting because someone said, we need to talk. You're not a machine. You're a bundle of squishy hormones pretending to be a spreadsheet. So yeah, maybe try crying before your brain sends the final meltdown memo. Hey, how's it going? Oh, just questioning the nature of reality and my role in an uncaring universe. How about you? If small talk makes you feel like a glitching robot trying to imitate normalcy, congratulations, you're dealing with existential displacement. It's when the routine stuff, work, errands, conversations about weather, starts feeling like you're just acting, like you're in the world but not of it, like you're watching yourself play the role of functioning adult while your soul floats above in a bathrobe. This kind of detachment is common when you're emotionally overwhelmed or underconnected. It's your psyche going, we're in survival mode, not social butterfly mode. You're not antisocial. You're just so deep in your own thoughts that asking someone, how's your day going, feels like trying to explain gravity using only interpretive dance. But guess what? You're still here, still trying, still playing the part. And even if it feels fake sometimes, the effort does count. Because yeah, sometimes we're all just NPCs in our own lives, wandering through grocery stores, wondering why cucumbers suddenly look like a metaphor for loneliness. That's not weird. That's just Tuesday. You don't rest unless everything is done. And surprise, everything is never done. So now you're on year 4 of pretending burnout is a lifestyle choice. This is rest guilt. And it's what happens when your brain sees downtime as moral failure. Like if you nap without achieving world peace first, you're somehow a lazy slug who doesn't deserve joy. Newsflash, rest is not a reward. It's maintenance. You don't earn water, you don't earn blinking, and you definitely don't have to earn rest. But your inner overachiever is holding you hostage with a clipboard. Every time you try to relax, it pops in like, did you finish all your tasks? Are you sure? Are you contributing to the economy right now? Rest doesn't have to be productive. It can be pointless, silly, luxurious, completely undeserved. In fact, that's when it's most needed. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is lie down on the couch, stare at the ceiling, and say, nope,